Welcome back to my channel. I am your host, Hezekiah Judah. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And today we're going to be in part 2 of God's Son. And where we left off in part 1, where I was talking about from Genesis chapter 3, verses 15 and 16. I wanted to spend some time on this, like I do a whole video on this, because it is very necessary to your journey in becoming a wife. This is coming from the NLT version. Genesis 3:15 reads, "And I will cause hostility between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He will strike your head, and you will strike his heel." And verse 16 is, "Then he said to the woman, I will sharpen the pain of your pregnancy, and in pain you will give birth, and you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you." I wanted to start with these two scriptures because in part 1 I read them. Now in part 2 is I'm gonna give you from my point of view and what I went through and why I believe that it is necessary, and I pray that this would change your journey, or if you at the beginning, that this would like really bless you, and if you in between your journey or along your journey onto marriage, that it'll give you a leg up. We hear it and we read the scripture, but I feel as though it can be breezed past through, and nobody really dives into why it is necessary for you to understand these two verses as a woman when you're going into marriage. And I want to say the same thing for your spiritual journey as well. It's not just for marriage, but you're going to start with your spiritual journey, and this is necessary for that because you will be attacked. The enemy knows that you can carry a God-given child. You're going to carry godly children, and these children are the legacy to continue the work that you and your partner are building. He's building, for his namesake, for God's namesake. So it's very important that you come to terms with these scriptures and write them down in your journal or in a notebook. And I say this because at the beginning of my journey, I felt like I was all over the place due to the fact that I had received bad information. And some of this information was coming from pastors, like major pastors that are known out there to a lot of people. And it's sad that I got all the way to now, and this is 4 years later now in my journey, to only realize that this should have been first in my journey, due to the fact that there are a lot of people that is going to be in your life that shouldn't be in your life, and the enemy will use them to attack you. It was immediately for me, as in from my own friends saying that they did not agree with the guy that God placed in front of me to marry, and they believed all this bad stuff about him. They were saying a lot of bad things about him, from, he would never marry you, him being a drug dealer, he was just a bad person. And God was talking to me about him for 6 years before I had met him. And without the information that God had already pre-gamed me on, I would have believed the lies. And the part that this will, in Genesis where he said he would strike your head and you would strike his heel. And in the very beginning of that, where he said, and I would cause hostility between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. This is a continuous battle. Nowhere in your journey, your marriage, nowhere near throughout your whole journey, continuously in your marriage, will you not have this battle. If you know for a fact that you're going to have multiple children, you're going to have maybe 2, 3, 4, or you just want a large family, it's going to be an ongoing battle. So you have to watch those cracks. And this is where I warn against you looking at other people's marriages. And this is the reason why I don't post any pictures or of myself or anything, tell anybody of what's going on in my life, or fast forward of going, that's coming in my life, or what's presently going on at the moment. And that, like I said, that was for the privacy. And I knew that at the beginning of my journey that this was what I have always wanted and desired for my marriage, is privacy in that, into protecting of my children as well as my husband. Because in my life and from my own upbringing, my dad was a divorcee, and he never got remarried again. And he actually had me with my mother, who he never married. So for me, from the time that I was born, I never really got to see a marriage that stayed together between my siblings, and even with my parents. I know that there was marriages in around me, as far as like my cousins, my aunt, uncle, but even with my one loving uncle that I love, from my dad's side, even he got married and divorced and then got married again. So I haven't seen a marriage in my lifetime that actually stayed together. For me, it's a battle, because I would be the first of not only my generation, but just of my immediate family, to be able to get married and stay married, like as one with my husband. So if anybody that has that the same situation as mine, it's going to be very important that you develop with God a plan at the beginning of your journey, so that you have something to go on and look forward to, and come up with, a plan for what you truly desire for your marriage, and not looking at anybody else's marriage. You have to go through scriptures for yourself and pick out what you know for sure that you're not going to want in your marriage, and what you would like from your marriage. Because for me, that's where most of my like plans or ideals or desires have come from. It come from reading the Bible, and I started to desire, because I was looking at Jesus' life, and I started to desire the fact that we didn't know anything from the time that, from him being 12 to the time he was 33. And I love that fact that he had all those years in privacy, and I desire the same thing. Another one of my ideas came from, it wasn't really my original idea, but it had started with God's son for me. The way he carried himself, the way he talked, he wasn't cursing. He had no bad language. He didn't use that around me, and even when I watched him talk to his friends, have conversation with his friends, it was the same way. He wasn't using any foul language or bad language, and I love that about him. And it made this desire to grow in me to change that too. Back then, I didn't know that it was written in the Bible that your language, you want to, when you're saying that you a godly man or woman, that you want your language should be nothing of foul language. You want to get rid of all that, and you want to get rid of speaking negativity into someone else's life as well. And I love that about God's son. He doesn't, like I explained this before, he will not just, bow on, okay? Only time he will speak is when it's truly necessary for him to speak, and if he has something positive to give back to you, or if you truly desire to hear his opinion about your situation. He will listen to the whole situation and then give you his opinion from there. He won't just cut you off. He won't just throw out random thoughts. You're just never going to see that from him. And I had desired that, and I love that about him a lot. So there's things that you need to do first as when you start at your journey. And Genesis is a template for that. And this is where you need to start making the decision for yourself that I am going to be a God-fearing woman. 1, 2, I am a daughter of God. And 3, how can I become this wife, this helper, to be able to assist God's son as in a godly partner, and more not idolize him as a husband. This helped me to take out this is why you won't really hear me call him just my husband, because I felt as though I was idolizing from my worldly view of what a husband should be doing. And to take that part out, for me, it was helping me to view him as what he is. He's a partner. He's God's son, and I am here to assist him. Now, most people look at submission as a bad thing. And if you look at submission as a bad thing, these scriptures will help you to overcome that as well. You got to look at submission. If you're viewing it as a bad thing, it's an attack on you, which could lead to you wanting to control your husband and the outcome of his decisions. You will start to battle him. You will start to attack him. And that should never be, because he's going to be before you. He is leading his head. He had his assignment. And for me, I'm not even going to lie to you. God's son had his assignment years before I had received my assignment and what I should be doing before we met. So he was already working into the field that he needed to be in. And that's something else too. If your spouse, you feel like he's not ready to get married, it's because he's truly not ready to get married. He's nowhere near where God needs him to be to even take care of you. God planned, you see it at the beginning. Adam had a job. Your husband should be working in the field. He should have a job. And if he can't take care of himself, he will not be able to take care of you. And trust and believe God would never take you to a situation where his son cannot provide or be able to take care of his family. It just won't make sense, because you two will be fighting and in a battle over finances. And why are you two attacking each other? The head is attacking the body is attacking the head. It starts to look ridiculous, sound ridiculous, and look odd to people that every time you out there, you're like, yeah, we are a godly couple. And people can see that the enemy will have knowledge of you fighting, because when you fight with each other, there are cracks, and you're letting the enemy in. And the more you tear at each other, the more the enemy is getting excited, because one of you two might even throw out the big D word, the divorce word. And once you get to that point, you allow the enemy to intervene into your marriage. Where is God at? So yeah, you will have fights, and it's funny when I have learned from my own friends and their marriages, and seeing like my godparents and their marriages and how they fight. There are ways that godly marriages and loving marriages, the way they fight, versus marriages that they really can't stand each other and they are heading for divorce, and they would throw it out there. When you have been married to somebody for a while and you know them, you will know secrets and stuff to hit below the belt. But these scriptures will help you deal with that too. It'll help you not to attack your head. And the desire will arise. It will keep arising. Every time you start to feel like he is not doing something, and you just let it sit and fester, you will start nitpicking at him. And those nitpicks would become like big. They get bigger. If you pick at a scab, it'll just open a wound, and it'll just keep getting bigger. So what should be healing is no longer healing, because now you're back picking at it. This is where these scriptures are going to come back up and play. It'll just replay right back in your mind. If you have studied it, meditated on it, it would just come back up. But if you're maximizing your singleness, you can overcome this before you even get in your marriage, and you won't do this part. You will get past it. You will learn skills and tools to overcome the desire of wanting to rule over your husband. If you are one of those independent women and you are making more money than your husband, that can come into play. And you will feel like, my money. Once you get to my money, this is the enemy attacking you. And he's placing thoughts in your head. And this is where you need to understand that this is a battle, a warfare attack. And you need to go into prayer about it. But if you are maximizing your singleness, you will find tools and ways to overcome it. You will recognize it immediately, and then be able to deal with it early on, so that your husband don't be attacked. Your spouse, God's son, won't be attacked. You won't be attacking your head. Or you won't be allowing something to sit on your heart to the point where one little poke would tip you over and you just spill over and you're just lashing out at him. And he's like, whoa, what is going on? These scriptures, you want to have them, and you want to have other scriptures as well. Do not use the typical ones that you hear repeatedly, because trust me when I say they're not going to help you in those situations. It may even cause you to become more angry at it. Now, I spend a lot of time going through the scriptures where Jesus was speaking, and one of my things that I also love is that he tells you, do not call someone an idiot. I started taking that out of my vocabulary as well, because I realized, okay, if I casually just call my partner an idiot, I'm in danger of being brought before the court. And I shouldn't do that to him. He should never be called an idiot for whatever decision that he have come up with. It is frustrating. At times, you're gonna feel overwhelmed and everything because you're trying to make this adjustment. But this is why your wilderness and your singleness is very important, because you can put in practice your language, the way to talk to him. You have these scriptures and you can become very familiar with them, and then it become your nature, not a second nature. It become your original nature to learn how to speak to him by saying, that is a wise decision, but can I give my opinion on it? And then can you sit with my opinion? And then if you don't like what I have come up with, can you come back to me and explain why not? Current situation I had, I'll tell you this part. And it was with I have a male best friend, but we don't talk this much. He's married, and he was, well, I tell him that he's married because I was there at the engagement and everything, and they live under one household and stuff. And I don't know, I thought back then that maybe they had already did like they court situation, until recently he told me that no, they didn't do it because of something of his past he had to deal with, and if he would have got married, it would have affected his fiance. So he was gonna, he's invited me to the courthouse ceremony and asked me to bring my godson, my partner, along. I said I would ask, but if his schedule doesn't permit it, in which I knew that my schedule was not going to allow it either. But I felt like it was just like a small window. I can make a simple like flight there and back, 2-day flight, no biggie. So I thought, but upon praying about it first and then asking about it second, he said no. And it was like, hey, you are being emotional about it. And I didn't say anything. I just was just like, okay. But then I really gave it some thought, and I was like, okay, maybe I am being emotional about it because it's my friend. And fast forward, the outcome was exactly of that. We just only a few hours later, we got into a bit of an argument with the arrangement because I told my friend that I don't think he's gonna make it to the courthouse to give this woman his last name, officially make her his wife, because on paper, because he didn't have everything together, and he was waiting. And thank God, because he saw this ahead of schedule, because still to this day, like fast forward, like still to the day that into the next month, where he was saying the week after that he would give me all the details. Then the following month, he didn't even have all the details together. And I told him that it was going to be a lot because he was moving. And I said, you sure about this? And I'm glad that I didn't buy tickets, because I wouldn't have been able to. That would have been money lost, because, he didn't have everything together. And I think it's going to just be one of those things where it's going to come up last minute, and it's going to be a plan that he's going to have to rearrange or switch because of that. So there are things that your partner, your spouse, is going to see, and I'm glad that I have gotten that part, I have overcome the part of understanding where the attack is coming in at, and where I'm going to want to control an outcome. Because my past self would have been like, okay, you don't want to go. but I'm not understanding why you're not wanting to go. This is my friend. So you will come to see that and learn when attack is arising and how to deal with it. If you start with these scriptures at the beginning and ask God to help you, ask Jesus, Holy Spirit to help lead and guide you into the understanding and how this is going to fit into your marriage. And another thing with I wanted to just say with submission and why this is going to help you understand the part of submission is because so with submission is that okay, you go underneath your household, and then while you're working on the stuff that God given you to. So what you were doing in your singleness is just not going to become obsolete. When you underneath the household of your husband and your spouse, whatever, however you address them, when you underneath the household, your purpose should already be like aligned with each other. And then whatever he needs help with, you're going to help and assist him with, right? But you also want to submit your plans and your idea underneath him. He will be able to help you as well with your assignment like you're helping him. But if you don't submit it, or you trying to feel like your purpose and assignment is way more important than his, then you're gonna fight. You're gonna start attacking him, and that's just what it is. The enemy already gonna have a foothold in your marriage because you're gonna just go off the rails and you're gonna attack him. So it's not even like you're gonna feel some type of way about it. And if you don't attack him, you're just gonna walk around the house moping about it because you're gonna feel as though he's not paying attention to your situation or what you want to do. And it shouldn't be that way. And if it's that way, you got to go back to the drawing board, because most people that wait and or they even some people would tell you things that they would wish they would have known before they got married. Listen to those. Don't listen to everybody. Listen to some of it, but not everybody. Know who to listen to and what not to listen to. Another thing that will arise is your roles in your marriage. What will you be doing? Will it be both of y'all cleaning, or will you be doing laundry, or he clean the kitchen? That stuff it should come first. It shouldn't be second. You want to discuss like your housing situation. Like, will you, for me, I explain this up front to Godson that, you truly love me. You're gonna have a place for me to go. I shouldn't have to pay a dime into this house. I'm your wife. I'll support you, and everything else. I shouldn't have to purchase a house for us to live in. It's just, I always felt that even in the Bible, I'm looking at these women and they're being taken from their household underneath their own dad and mother. They're going from their parent household into his household. He should have a place for me to go. If you want me to come stay with you, come live with you, you should have a place for me to go. There shouldn't be no question about this. I shouldn't be facing homelessness. My dad, God made sure that my parents was able to provide. Even if me being single right now and my, not having my parents, God has me in a place. And He's covered my place, my apartment. He paid for everything. He's taking care of me. He's my father. If my father is taking care of everything and he's going to have his son take over for him, why would he have his son take over where you don't have a place to go? It just doesn't make sense. No one should be out there struggling or facing homelessness, because when they packed up and left and went somewhere and moved somewhere, God had a place for them to go. That's the only time you'll start seeing like your seasons start to really dry up, is when God is moving y'all to a different spot, or telling your husband like, hey, get ready to move you and your family to another place where you're gonna be doing this and that. That's why it's important to not challenge your husband decision, and unless there's a way to do it, not like a full on attack mode attacking him. There's ways to go about it. Like I said, if he come to you and he's like, hey, we're packing up and leaving, that's something that this is these scriptures, this is all this stuff that you're going to be working throughout your singleness, in your wilderness season. Because it's stuff that's like, this is going to arise. But you, as a wife, need to know what to do in those situations. And then there's conversations that y'all should have at the beginning when y'all meet. You're going to be feeling all these feelings, and you're going to feel, one of the major ones you're going to be feeling is love. Unconditional love for this man. And do not miss the moment when he's asking you questions, you answering, and it should be about your future, kids and stuff like that. Don't just jump into the finance right away, because if you don't like this guy for the fact that he only want one child and you want 5 children, or you want 4 and he want 8 or 10, y'all already are uncompatible, and your decision is just not it. Now, over times it would change for you, because only thing God talked to me about was one child. It was my decision during my journey to pray about multiple children. And that's only because I took a look at the world, and I see so many children in foster care or not being taken care of. So that was my decision. That's what prompted me to pray about multiple children. You as a woman, and you see this in the Bible where women are praying for children, and they go to God about it, and God talks to them about it, or and then once he talks or have a conversation with the woman, then he'll go to the man and say that you will have a son, or and into details about that child. So this is why I wanted to really talk about these scriptures, because everything will go back to that. And you need to remember what God had discussed with you and had told you, and the plans and the wills that he have over your life and going forward. You need to hold on to that, because you're going to be attacked along the way, all the way down. Now, it's going to come a time where I don't think people really talk about this part either, but everything that you're doing in your singleness, you're preparing yourself to leave and go away into your own family. And you got to think of, like, when you pack up and you're leaving for a long vacation and you don't talk to nobody, you may not have access to these people. And this is what you're going to know that, okay, I'm going into the season where I'm going to be underneath my head. So enjoy your singleness, because you really, truly need to practice, maximize as much practice as you need, conversation as you need with God, before you go underneath your head or being in the same household with him. Because I know like people are dating and everything, and if that's clouding your judgment, then maybe you need to um, take some time off before you head into marriage. Now, here's a major one that I have come to find out during my research is the ring part. Um, do not do not even touch on that subject. Don't get involved in it. Even if he asks you, do not get involved with it. Let that be between him, God, and the Trinity. Just allow them to do that with them. God know what you like. He brought that man to you. So trust God when it comes to picking out your ring. Um, it is very important that you wear the ring, because he, every time he look at that ring, he's going to be reminded of that decision that he had made. Whether it was he struggled with it, but with picking out the size, the design, and all like that, leave that everything up to him. I had a conversation with one of my co-workers, and he explained to us his process. But one of the things that I got to see on his face when he was explaining the process of him picking out the ring and everything, it was freaking hilarious. But his eyes lit up, and as he went through this whole process, as he was telling us about it, he was just, he had us cracking up. It was the most enlightening thing, funniest thing, delightful thing to even hear and watch his expression on his face, versus a guy that I heard explain this process of picking out the ring. And he just based his fiance had a part in picking out her ring, and he had felt no enjoyment of it. And that was just crazy to me, because it's not really crazy, because these are worldly people versus like godly people. And it was, I didn't know that women were doing this, having a part in the process of picking out the ring. Do not have no process with it, because you still joy from him of him going through that process of picking out the ring and everything. And what do you want to say for his vows? He's pitching, and maybe he's going through all that, And this, my coworker had us cracking up, because here's the thing why I say don't have no part in it. So the first ring that he went to go propose to his wife with, he told us that they actually mixed up his ring with another guy's ring. So he didn't even have the original ring that he wanted to propose with. Now, if she would have had like a meltdown, she would have missed her whole engagement. She would have just moment. She would have just messed it up. So if she would have known about the ring that she had, helped him picked out, she would have been upset if he would have proposed with the ring that he had. So because she didn't have any part in this, she was all excited. She was like, she was enjoying the moment of her, getting engaged. Now, fast forward towards after the next following day, he had to tell his fiance that, hey, listen, I need the ring back. Because he had to call them and tell them, like, yo, y'all gave me the wrong ring. That's not my ring. That's not the ring that I paid for. That's not the ring I picked up. Not only did he went from that and then had to explain to his fiance that I need the ring back because they gave me the wrong ring. Over top of that, they had to explain to him that, hey, we accidentally, not only did we accidentally give your ring to another man to propose with, but we don't have your ring here in the store, so we're going to have to order it. So now he has to take this ring back, get the original ring that he wanted the propose with, he now has to wait between 1 to 2 weeks to get it. So it just had us just rolling on the floor to this whole process. His process was just crazy wild, and it was a mess, but it gave us insight, and it just gave us like a foreshadow and a warning that this is one of the reasons why you really want no parts in creating your own ring or designing your ring or have any idea of a ring. And you don't want to force him into giving you a ring either, because if you force him into giving a ring, he's not going to be a happy man. So even if you feel like, now to most women, and I have this, I know of this experience as well, God is talking to you about his son and the man that you are going to marry. And if you're sticking with God process and you're not going with your process, it's going to be a tough road or process to go down for you. Now, you may be you might be already, working in your purpose or whatever the case may be, but you haven't met him yet. And even after you meet him, you may not even, go on a few dates or whatever like that. But what he is doing is, now that he has told God yes and everything, he's going back and he's preparing. So do not feel like, you need to rush him anything, because he is preparing for you. And whatever you gave him from the time that he met you, like how many kids you want and so forth and everything, whatever from that conversation, you need to really hold on to and have discussions with God about, because God is going to be in between y'all, and God is in between all marriages that he brings together, and he's going to be doing pretty much the back and forth between y'all. So you're not crazy, nothing is like on pause or frozen for you. He didn't forget about you or anything. He is preparing, and allow God to be solely in between your marriage, and allow God to do most of the lead work at that moment. If you're not talking to him every day or even going on dates with him, you're not crazy. The reason why I say you are not crazy is because you will read in the Bible, they didn't have no phones or anything. They didn't really go on dates. When the guy said yes, he was engaged, and then he would leave to prepare for his family, his wife. You even see that Jacob asks for Rachel, and the father said, okay, if you work 7 years, he was working, and then he was preparing for his marriage to come. And you see it in the Bible. It said what was 7 years felt like only a few days to him, because that's how much he was in love with this woman. So do not feel like you have been abandoned by this guy once y'all had this conversation. He is doing what happened in the Bible. He's doing that part. And if he does choose, which I don't think, God is never wrong. So that, like, if he backs out of his marriage, it's like saying God lied to you, and God doesn't lie. So if this guy truly adores you and really want to marry you, you may be dealing with a guy he's just different from everybody, and that's something you really need to pray about and allow God to help explain to you that, or maybe he's just dealing with something and he needs to deal with that before he ever come back to you. In that time being, try to understand who you are about to become one with, and allow God to be with you in that moment. Now, I hope this really blessed y'all, and I look forward to the next few videos, and I want to say thank you again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I want y'all to have the most amazing journey into becoming a wife and understanding the husband that you are going to be one with.